Hey, hi, how are you? Hopefully I sound better. I got a new mic. I figured if I'm going to have people listen to me, I might as well at least give them a better listening experience. So hopefully this is better. I did a few tests before. I'm saying again, you guys. Also, I'm looking at my microphone as if you are in there. So just know I'm staring deeply into your soul. So anyway, I'm sorry I'm late. I had to feed my hedgehog. That's not even a lie. I'm kind of riding the struggle bus today, getting started on everything. I had really, really good intentions with starting this super earlier in the evening. Yes, I know. I'm educated, you guys. I try not to sound like it cuz that's no fun. And I really like to have fun. However, speaking of fun, you guys should be really, really excited. And again, by you guys, I mean me, I mean the universe. Speaking of, remember in the trailer, actually, no, I think in the description of the show, I put that I am very, very scatterbrained. So, speaking of scatterbrained, I am bevied and I am bevied and baked. Again, I'm gonna leave all the weird side stuff in here because if I have to suffer through living with me, you also do. So, hey, hi, welcome. It's a fun journey, but I am bevied and baked. I am drinking a Diet Dr. Pepper tonight. They're so good. They're so bad for me, but they're so good. Someday you might hear me drinking water. I don't know. Probably never. But today we're going to talk about Termite City. And by that I mean not one, but I'm going to briefly touch base on another one. So there are two termite cities I'm going to talk about today. Excuse me. I tried to get all of my, coughs and burps out before I started. There might be a few rogue ones. I'm going to try and shield you so much from the burps. I don't think there are any more, but I am drinking the Diet Dr. Pepper. So please bear with me. I'm a human being. It's just all proof that this isn't AI, you guys. Also, you're going to hear my lovely pages. Also more proof that it's not AI. And I also just like writing my notes. I don't know if that's going to change. I think I said that last time. I don't know if that's going to change, but for now, I really like handwriting my notes. It helps me. So I'm sorry for those who may not enjoy the sound of paper. Ooh, I really hate cardboard. Like cardboard, the touch of paper, honestly, with dry hands, I can't stand that. For some reason, it doesn't really bother me with notebook paper though. Again, scatterbrained. Welcome. I warned you. I told you it was going to happen. I think I did pretty well in my last episode with not being so scatterbrained, but I had to impress you in some ways to make up for the audio issue. If you're curious, I'm using the Logitech Yeti Orb. It is not an ad. I have no issues with it so far. It seems really great. I love that it not plugs in. I love that it screws into my telescoping arm stand that I have. It's really nice. I love that it's got like the tripod attachment. It also came with a desktop stand, which was really cool. And it's got a USB-C to USB-A connection. So it was super slick. Again, totally not an ad, but I really like this thing. It's a cute little ball. Plus, I can look at you. I can stare you in the ball face. Don't quote me on that. That was a really bad thing to say that I'm going to put on the internet forever. All right, you guys, Termite City. We're here to talk about Termite City. Stop distracting me. Two termite cities. All right, so we're talking about 200 trillion termites. Yeah, 200 trillion of them. I can't even imagine what that number looks like in real life. I can't. These guys are like an inch and a half long. I'm holding my fingers in front of me as if you can see how tall an inch and a half is. And honestly, I'm probably very incorrect on what I'm seeing in front of me. But they're an inch and a half long. And I'm talking about 200 trillion of them. I saw this and I was stunned. I had never heard about it before. I think maybe some people have heard of it. Obviously, scientists. It has been in many articles. I think the New York Times did an article. I reference the CNN article for mine. So it's out there. It's been out there for quite a few years, but I had never heard of it until today. And that was really, really cool for me. But I don't know why. I guess I got really excited about termites. But that's why I'm making this podcast, because then I don't have to bore my poor husband and tell him about 200 trillion termites. I can just put it on the internet. And then if somebody wants to listen to me talk about it, then more power to them. So anyway, I saw this on Reddit. And again, on Reddit, I find a lot of stuff on Reddit. If you guys aren't on Reddit, highly, highly recommend, but also say goodbye to your mental health. It's a roller coaster. It's really fun though. I actually just came from an argument with some poor soul on Reddit. Anybody who has to cross paths with me when they're just a generally nasty person, they're not going to have a good time. But, just don't be a nasty person and try to be kind to others, and remember that other people live in other scenarios than you do. So keep that in mind and we're going to be okay. So anyway, I came across this post about this termite city in Brazil. I had a lot of questions. So I'm like, why is it just left there? They discovered it, right? Why? It's just there now. I have since learned all of this information, but these are all questions I had at the beginning. Like, why is it there to begin with? Is it man-made? I don't know why that's a question my brain asked, but is it man-made? Like, did somebody just play around and make a giant anthill for termites? It's huge, you guys. It's huge. And I'm like, does it grow? Are there benefits to the earth? I don't know. I do now, but you're about to know if you haven't known already. You know, you're gonna. All right. So we're traveling. Apparently we're traveling to the Caatinga. And I'm very sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. I looked it up online on YouTube and that was the English pronunciation, and I could not fathom saying the Portuguese version out loud. So I really apologize. But you can look it up on how to say it properly. I recommend that you do, so that I'm not being totally really, really awful to the people and the culture and the place. However, so it's a densely vegetated area in the northeastern area of Brazil. That's all of this is going down in Brazil. Or I guess it's going up in Brazil. And I'm talking about up in mounds. So it has a lot of mounds. We're going to get into the mounds, trust me. Not in that way, but you can picture them that way if it makes your experience on this podcast better. But we're going to talk about the mounds. We'll get to it. So this takes place in a semi-arid climate. They get about 10 to 20 inches of rain per year. Compared to where I live, we get about 31 inches of rain per year. So a semi-arid climate typically receives more rain than desert climates, but less than temperate climates. I am not going to dive into climates today, but maybe someday I will. You never know. That's the cool thing about this is we might have a conversation someday. You and I, just you and me, we're going to sit down and have a conversation someday about the different climates. All right. So key characteristics of this environment, if you don't already know. If you do, smarty pants, look at you. Good job. High five. To give you an idea on how these little dudes survive here. This area has low precipitation, as we've already discussed. It's full of grassland, scrublands, and drought-adapted shrubs. Nope, shrubs. I've read that wrong, you guys. Ugh. So it has hot summers, warm to cool winters, and they're located on the fringes of deserts or high elevations usually. So anyway, this termite city in Brazil is today's topic, but it isn't the only or the oldest termite city. There is one in Africa, in Namaqualand. It's in South Africa. And that one is estimated to be about 34,000 years old. I cannot grasp having that knowledge in my brain. But that's why I'm giving it to you. Now you have it, huh? You touched it last. So anyway, this also reveals to them that the mounds have been consistently occupied for that whole duration. So they're currently occupied. And through the studies that they've done, they've discovered that they have been occupied this entire time in both cities, which is like they've been around for so long. And I can't believe I never knew about this. Page flip. I'm so sorry if you're not into that. And then I'm just like being all excited about it. So anyway, quick note. My research was widely based on a scientific journal I found on cell.com under current biology. So the authors of this article include Stephen J. Martin or Stephen J. Martin, Roy R. Funch, which I'm going to reference quite a bit in this podcast or episode, and Paul R. Hansen and Un-Hai Yu. So these are all the authors of this article. And thank you, dudes and dudettes. I don't actually know your genders, nor do I care, but thank you so much for your contribution to what I get to do tonight. And I get to talk about this. And it's really, really cool that you guys all did the research and you were boots on the ground, playing with the soil. I'm sure you played with it. You probably played with it a little bit, right? I bet you did. But you got in the dirt and you figured all of it out. And it's really, really cool that you put it out and it's free to consume. And now I get to freely let you consume it. Everybody. All right, we're getting back to Brazil, you guys. In the late 90s, Roy Funch, remember? Yep, he's one of the article people. He was working as a tour guide around Brazil. This was in the late 90s again. And then around in the 2000s, this is when Google Earth came out. So, by the way, it's still the Gulf of Mexico. So anyway, Google Earth comes out in the early 2000s and they started seeing the images and they got a clear picture of the land. They also started to look at it for pasture, and this is where they discovered this giant termite city. But Google Earth did help them see the first sort of images of like, holy crap, what is that? So it's very vast. It's giant. Anyway, Roy, in 2018, Mr. Roy Funch and his colleagues, they conducted some formal research, some formal scientific research, and they published it in the Current Biology article that I am referencing here. Typically, it's hard to find the origins of biogenic. You guys, I struggled with that word. I'm really sorry. Biogenic earthen structures, because what made them is gone. So you can study what is there currently, but it's hard to study a lot of it because what made it is no longer in existence. Understandably, after, 10,000 years, 34,000 years, I would have never expected that species to still be there. However, this is for sure not the case here. It's the termites, they know what they're doing. So specifically in Brazil, they have oh, you guys, I'm going to butcher this and I'm so sorry. It's the Centermes dirus. It still thrives in these structures today, an estimated 4,000 years later. So these, they know how to live life. They know what they're doing. Unlike me, clearly, I've started probably my 40th hobby here today. Wait, a few days ago. Back to it. Stay on task, you guys. According to this article and the research that they did, these mounds cover a network of 230,000 square kilometers. Yes, it took me a long time to say square kilometers. So 230,000 square kilometers. I did the calculation with the help of lots of robots somewhere in space, and that is about 88,803 square miles, and that is massive. To put that in perspective, that's roughly the size of the state of Minnesota. If you live in the United States, or if you live somewhere that you have access to a map, you can look at the United States, and that covers the entire state of Minnesota. So just these termites have a whole bunch of land, and good for them. So that's mounds, networks underground, and mounds on top. You guys, I just bumped the mic with my glasses, and I hope it didn't like boop ya, but that was an experience. Again, I don't know why anybody would listen to me, but it's okay because it's just me in my bedroom right now. So anyway, they're not nests, by the way. They don't. These mounds are just the discard. They're not nests. There's no specific structure inside of them. So that actually sets these termites apart. But we're going to get into that too. To be clear, it has to be 200 million. And that has to be. But we are talking about 200 million cone-shaped mounds on its surface. So large that you can see it on Google Earth, like I mentioned before. So let's get into the mounds. Each mound is about 2.5 kilometers. That's about 8.2 feet tall and around 9 meters or 30 feet in diameter. So the S. dirus termites are still very much present in the soil around these mounds. The authors of the article suggest that a complete network of tunnels was built to access leaves falling and has allowed for the optimal process, removing waste soil. The mounds are locally known as murundus. Also, please, again, don't judge me. I'm going to get better about other languages, but I have not learned Portuguese yet. Let's talk about the soil, shall we? What's in these mounds? This is an oligotrophic soil, and again, maybe it's oligotrophic. I doubt it. It's got a G, but it's oligotrophic. That's a fun word to say regardless. This type of soil is typically nutrient poor, specifically low levels of plant nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. These soils typically have low organic matter and are home to microbial, slow-growing communities. Page flip. So this soil is also clayey and acidic. This supports very little agricultural activity. So, I mean, I guess I kind of get now this answers my question of like, why did we just leave it there? And by we, I mean Earth. Why was this just left there? It was discovered and they were just like, nah, it's okay. They can have a whole state to themselves. It's fine. But I guess if the soil doesn't really have any value, why not just let them continue their 4,000-year journey, right? Who am I to say? I'm just here for a very small moment of time. I'm not going to mess with their energy, I guess. But this is also why they think that this has gone on for so long, largely undisturbed by human intervention. So, going back to French and Fun. Why do I keep wanting to call him French? But Roy Funch and crew, they went out and collected samples from the center of 11 mounds. They tested them and they found that the mound fill dates were between 690 to 3,820 years old. These ages also corresponded with the oldest known termite mounds in Africa. Inspection of the hundreds of mounds has revealed that each mound is essentially just a huge mass of soil with no internal structure. Newly formed mounds were found to be one central tunnel, and they just go down and they join the massive network of tunnels under the ground. So again, I keep saying massive network. I can't even understand the scale of what that would look like, but there's a lot of tunnels. But they're finding that all of the tunnels, they just go straight down and they just join in wherever they can find the adjoining spot. Speaking about mound spacing, if we weren't talking about it, now we are. They're roughly about 20 kilometers apart. So that's about 12.5 miles. And that's actually a lot more than I was picturing in my mind, and a lot more than I thought it was when I was looking at the images of this space. But yeah, they're about 12.5 miles apart. They each contain about 50 cubic meters or about 1,265 cubic feet of soil. Combining the sheer volume of soil for all mounds, that's about 4,000 Great Pyramids of Giza. Like 4,000 pyramids. If you collected up all the soil in the mounds, you could build 4,000 pyramids. Is that not mind-blowing? That's why I was so excited about this. And I guess I kind of feel really silly, but like that is baffling to me. So it makes it also the greatest known example of an ecosystem engineered by a single insect species. I thought that was really interesting. Other cool facts. Function crew propose that the mound pattern arose from organization thanks to their increased connectivity network. They also found that there could be what's called a pheromone map because they produce, and by they I mean the termites, produce alkene and alkadine in isomers. Again, I need to be more educated. But anyway, this is where they also studied as a spatial distribution of chemicals. These isomers. But the termites produce these. And so they think that there's a pheromone map, which would allow the termites to minimize their travel time from any location in the colony to the nearest waste mound. Like, how cool and how techie of them. Like, they're very smart. I suppose they have to be. They've been very successful for a very long time. This tunnel system also allows for the occasional food supply, mainly leaves just dropping in. It just keeps it open. The leaves drop in. They're able to eat them. Yum yums. Also, time for a curveball. Scientists have never found the queen chamber for the species. So they have no queens. That's pretty uncommon from what I saw in other insects / termites. But yeah, they've never found the queen in this colony. Another curveball. Most other termites build their mounds with networks of tunnels in them, but this specific species of termites do not. They just leave their mounds and they're just full of soil. There's nothing in them. But a lot of other termites, they like put internal structures and networks into their mounds to allow for ventilation. But yeah, these guys don't need that. Good for them. That's it on Brazil, folks. That's it. That's all I'm telling you. But I'm not done. We're going to step into Africa for a minute. Also, fun fact, I am learning Swahili, but unasema Kiswahili kidogo. I do not speak it fluently. I can read it very well. I can write it very well, but speaking it is not a strong suit of mine so far. However, I do know that mayai ya kuku is chicken eggs. So there. I know a lot more than that, you guys, but Duo and me are only like 192 days into our journey, so leave us alone. It's progress, not perfection. We're getting there. But we're going to go to Africa for a minute, specifically South Africa. We are going to go to a whole nother termite city. Again, I don't know why we're traveling, but we are. I found it. I didn't find it. Someone else found it, but I found another termite city while I was doing research on this termite city, I never thought I would say that sentence, but here I am saying that sentence, that I found not one, but 2 termite cities in my research. And I found another one that's even older. Page flip. So this is on Namakwaland, which is in South Africa. And it's another incredibly ancient termite city. And here the mounds cover about 20% of the surface of this region. It's near a river, I believe, or a water source of some type. In 2021, a group of scientists set out to study why the groundwater in this area was saline. So the group used radiocarbon dating to see when minerals had stored the mounds that were... You guys, don't judge me. They used radiocarbon dating to see when minerals that were stored in the mounds were flushed into the groundwater. So they wanted to see what was in these mounds and why it was causing this water to be saltwater. The results shocked the group, and it turns out that these are the world's oldest inhabited termite mounds, and around 34,000 years old. Yes, still inhabited, still going strong. And it just goes to show how long things have been on this earth. It is insane to think about. Um, really incredible stuff, you guys. Wasn't that invigorating to talk about termites with me? I really expected that to take a longer amount of time to talk about. Maybe I went too quickly, but I also added in like a lot of pauses, not intentionally. They just kind of came out. I don't really have anything else I can talk to you about, but that's all. It's you get a short episode today. Maybe they're all going to be short. I don't know. Maybe some are going to be really really long. I think my next episode might be on um really just how teeny tiny we are in the universe and how much everything we do doesn't really matter. I had a chat with a friend today about that, and it's just really mind boggling to think about everything in the universe. And really, when you put it into perspective, it really just makes me feel better about the journey that I'm on and trying to find joy where I can find joy. And that happens to be right here, sitting on my bed with my really, really cool new microphone that hopefully when I replay this doesn't sound awful. But I re listened to my recording that I posted yesterday, and I listened to it in my car intentionally because I know that a lot of people listen in their vehicles. Not that I'm like trying to grow this crazy, incredible fan base, but if I do, that'd be cool, I guess. If that many people want to listen to me just spew stuff into the world. But yeah, I totally just lost track of what I was talking about. So have a good night, I guess, or a good day, or a good whatever it is that you're experiencing. And I hope that you have really good coffee if you like coffee. And if you don't, then I hope you have an awful day. Bye.